What is up, Regigigas fans? My name is Eben, and today I am bringing you my Texas State Champs top 32 deck. It ended up coming in 24th place after all is said and done. Actually, after the 9 rounds of Swiss on day 1, it came in 6th. And then after 5 more successive rounds, for a variety of reasons, it ended up coming in at a grand total of 24th, which is pretty darn cool. If you want to know the specifics, what decks I played against, what I saw, why, brief summaries of the matches, my record exactly, and all that stuff. You can find all that information in my Twitter. It is down below. You can follow that link, and it's all still in there. I did a full report and all that, so if you want to kind of get a look at the standard metagame, especially if you're preparing for your own state's events in the upcoming weeks, or if you're just looking at standard events of any kind in the near future, is definitely something to check out. I'll let you know that a number of the things that we kind of expected, like Night March and Yveltal's Gallade, YVG, or sorry, YZG, sorry, those were there. And things we expected to see maybe a little more of, like Trevenant, because it counters Night March so well, didn't end up coming as much. And the top 32 actually had 2 Sceptile decks, which was, I managed to play them both, by the way, and that was just so delightful for a deck that relies so heavily on Seismitoad. But anyway, despite that, this deck has an amazing amount of power, and let's just go ahead and get to it. This deck, I call it Toad King, because it relies on Seismitoad, and it also relies on Slowking. A lot of Slowking decks run 2/2 lines, but to really gain the most strength out of Slowking, you want to have 2 on the field at any given time, so with the 3/3 line that prevents anything from being prized, like preventing that. And the idea is if you're flipping for Royal Flash twice in a turn, you should be able to hit at least 1, and that's the number of energies your opponent can play, so it gives you a lot of control, especially late game, especially with so many decks running so few energies. So we're running 3 Slowking, and his only job really is to get onto the bench and then flip for Royal Flashes for you to slow things down and impair your opponent's ability to play. You stack energies on things that can't use them. You can get rid of strong energies that way. You can put a bunch of things on a Pokemon like, say, Shaman, and if they AZ it, all the energy falls off, stuff like that. Very, very powerful. To support that, we're running 3 Slowpokes who can even tail lure in a pinch, so that's not a bad thing. Our primary attacker, like I say, is Seismitoad EX, and this guy has one mission and one mission alone, pretty much, and that is get out there, Quaking Punch, get that muscle band so he's hitting for 50, and just keep doing that. And we have things like Rough Seas to keep him healthy. We can also super scoop up him, and with Slowking supporting him, we basically have energy deprivation and item deprivation here, and it's a very powerful combination. It really is. It allowed me to take a lot of matches from opponents. Of course, Seismitoad has problems, but most of the things that he's afraid of can be answered by Manectric EX, and we're running 3 of him. We're not running the Mega, just the regular EX. Overrun is nice for kind of setting up KOs for us, but Assault Laser really is where the juice is here because it's 120 or 140. But it lets us pick off Shamans with ease very quickly for prizes if we have to, and it also threatens Yveltal, which is a big thing. So there is that, and also it can one-shot Zoroark with relative ease, which is also pretty important. And the last Pokemon we're running are 2 Shaman for all the obvious reasons. That's 15 Pokemon, that's all we run. And as far as our supporters, we've got 8. They are 4 Sycamores, 1 Judge. This guy, obviously, you can play it to restrict your opponent, especially after they've been Seismitoad locked. It's pretty unpleasant. We have 1 AZ who just loves to recover things, and also keep in mind, if they do something like Lysander or Slowking, I had a number of people try that. That never was an effective strategy against me, though, because I could just AZ him back up. That never really hurt at all, and worst case scenario, you can always attach a DC and retreat, but I had lots of ways to get him back out of trouble. So AZ is just so universally useful for depriving your opponent of prizes, etc. 1 Lysander, which is pretty much staple in everything, doesn't need much explanation. 1 copy of Zoroark. This card is amazingly utilitarian. It's a little bit more energy removal, and sometimes the tool removal is also useful. You can even use it to pick off things like Headringer, but for the most part I didn't bother with that. AZ gets rid of that just fine. It was largely the ability to pick off those special energies and put us kind of ahead in the energy race that was very helpful about Zoroark. I definitely did not regret running Zoroark in this deck one bit. Alright, item-wise, it's very straightforward. We got 4 Versus Seekers, for all the obvious reasons. We've got 4 Ultra Balls. Once again, pretty obvious. Helps minimize that hand for Shaman, too. We've got 4 Trainer's Mail, partially because we got 8 supporters, and not all of them even say draw cards, so we really want these for consistency. Your first turn tends to be a lot of cards getting played setting up. but that's how a lot of decks are right now in this format. So the 4 Trainers Mail is definitely not unusual or unique to this deck. We've got 4 copies of Super Scoop Up. Yeah, okay, we tossed some coins in this deck, but yeah, we're playing the statistics, and statistics say you get your coin tosses right half the time, and that's good enough for us. This card's very powerful. A lot of our Pokemon, it's very good to recover them up because you can very quickly replay that energy and those tools and get another Pokemon set up very rapidly. So basically, you just deprive prizes for your opponent or set Shamans up. So pretty awesome there. We've got 4 Muscle Bands. We could use Fighting Fury Belt, but honestly, the extra HP is not as important to us nearly as is the ability to do that extra 10 damage that this offers over Fighting Fury Belt, because there's a big difference between 40 damage Quaking Punches and 50 damage Quaking Punches. For example, if something's got 180 HP, it's going to take 5 hits with a Fighting Fury Belt to knock it out, whereas with Muscle Band, that's 4 hits. That is 1 free turn, essentially. And wouldn't you want to play a card that says you get a free turn? Yeah, I would too. And it also gets some important extra damage on Manectric with Overrun that can be pretty threatening. So, yeah, Muscle Band is definitely the way to go. Never regretted that over Fighting Fury Belt. Once in all 14 rounds I ended up playing total. Not once. Alright, and we do have 2 Headringers, largely because this can help us set off our Assault Lasers, and it also pairs extremely well against EX decks with Slowking. As for instance, this can make an opponent's Seismitoad, for example, need 3 energy to Quaking Punch. Obviously, you have to lay it out early, but it's very easy to get him into situations where he can't Quaking Punch with Slowking. Then you can slap on Headringer, stuff like that. Pretty potent. We also have 3 Rough Seas because our opponents may have some difficulty attacking us, and Seismitoad can be a bit of a wall with 180, and this can definitely stretch that out, and it also benefits Manectric, and if they're trying to use spread damage to pick off Slowking on the bench, this gets rid of that damage, making bats not a threat to your Slowking, which is pretty awesome. We do run 1 town map because being able to cherry pick your prizes is very useful, very crucial. This can be great for picking up things like Versus Seeker, one-off supporters, etc. So definitely like to run that and just drop it at some point in setup usually. Our final item is 1 copy of Super Rod. We only have 6 basic energies, so you kind of want to manage them a little bit in case you have to dump them to Sycamore, Ultra Rod, Ultra Ball early on. And occasionally you can use it to get back things like Slowking under the same circumstances. So definitely an important inclusion. Don't be afraid to drop it quickly if you're about to Sycamore or something like that to get back 1 or 2 things, but it's definitely worth having in there. And we have 10 energies. The 4 double colorless energies are pretty straightforward. And the rest of it may be a little counterintuitive. We run 4 lightnings. We only have 3 Manectric EX, so in the truest sense, this is sort of more than we actually need, quote unquote, but I want to make sure we can get it without having to rip through too much of our deck. So this is exclusively for our Manectric EX. And we do have 2 waters. These allow us to technically Grenade Hammer with Seismitoad if we really have to. I never had to, but it's still nice to have, and you can also use it to kind of threaten your opponent with your ability to hit because they don't know how many waters you run. So it can be a nice way to kind of force your opponent to make different plays if you need to. And also, one curious thing this does is 1 water energy allows our Slowking to potentially attack with his Psych Up. And if Slowking, he's not your ideal attacker, but with a Muscle Band, he deals 60 damage on the first turn with a Psych Up, and then he's dealing 100 damage a turn after that. So you can theoretically put on some pretty decent pressure with Slowking, and he doesn't need a lot of energy to attack. It's only 2 energy for his attack. So I thought it was worth it to include it, and I have picked a few things off with Slowking, actually. So like I say, it's nice to have support Pokemon who can actually attack for some kind of meaningful damage if needs be. So anyway, that is the deck. It's very good. It's a lot of fun. It's a very control-oriented deck, and that's kind of where my heart lies in this game. I really like to play control-oriented decks. They're not the most fun to play against, I guess, but that's partially because they're very difficult to beat if your opponent doesn't know exactly how to play in the situation. So anyway, like I said, that got 24th out of an event that was closer to 300 people, and it was not an easy tournament by any means. So definitely worth checking out for your if you want to take that to your local or take it to an event yourself, give it a few tweaks. I would recommend it. And in the meantime, I'm going to get out of here. And until next time, like, comment, subscribe. Like I say, check me out on Twitter. Link is below, and I will see you next time.